Hello and welcome to Record Sports Facebook Live. My name is Daniel Conn. I'm delighted to be joined by Record Sports Gavin Berry, Fraser Wilson and Craig Swan. Guys, how are you?
Not bad.
Daniel, thank you.
Good, thanks, Daniel.
There's only one show in town this weekend, guys. The Viaplay Cup Final, of course, on Sunday between Rangers and Celtic. I thought you were going to jump in there, Gav.
Celtic? Or is it the other mob?
Well, it's a perfect place to start. There's been plenty of comments thrown about this week. Fashion Sakala. Yeah. What did you make of them, Gav?
You know, Craig and Fraser will probably agree with me. How many times, guys, do you rock up to a press conference and it's one game at a time, the league table doesn't lie, cliche after cliche. So if somebody's going to come out with something like that and it's going to give us something to talk about and build up the game, not that this is a fixture that ever needs hyped up anymore, but if somebody's going to come out with something that just adds a wee bit of extra spice, then I'm certainly not going to complain about that. Was it disrespectful? I don't know. Are people really offended by that? Does it fire up the opposition? Possibly. Does it put a bit of pressure on Fashion Sakala? Maybe. Will he start? I don't know.
I hope he does now.
Does it change Michael Beale's thinking? But listen, it's football. He's said it. He's got to live with it now, and he'll need to do his talking on the park now when it comes to Sunday at 3:00 if he's picked. I think what it probably does, Daniel, is tell you a bit about a kind of renewed confidence in terms of Rangers going into this game. You know, they didn't have that belief, did they? Certainly not when they lost heavily at Parkhead at the start of the season in the first league meeting. Michael Beale seems to have restored a bit of that. It tells you that there's a bit of belief there. So it's now about what they can do on the pitch, whether they can back that up. But I definitely think there is a bit of confidence under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. They lost. I know they won the semi-final last season in the Scottish Cup, but I mean, the two drubbings at Parkhead in particular told you that Celtic had a bit over them there. Maybe that kind of fear factor's gone a bit. Fashion Sakala seems somebody who's just speaks his mind, doesn't he? He's always got a grin on his face and he speaks his mind. So it's a bit of fun.
I thought for me, guys, that more so than the other mob comment, his comments today in Record Sport about Rangers are the far better club. We know we're the better club. I know we're behind, but we'll prove it by winning the trophy. I mean, Craig, I thought that was kind of more inflammatory than the other mob comment.
Yeah. But I mean, what are players going to say? The other team's better.
That's true. That's
true. That's what players, you know, that's the way they talk, you know, players and managers, they just, yeah, okay, maybe he could have worded it differently, as you see, when you're 9 points. I remember many moons ago, Johan Mjällby speaking when Celtic were it was double figures that were behind Rangers and they were due to go to Ibrox, and Johan Mjällby came out with something very, very similar, and Rangers beat them 4-0. I think Kenny Dalglish was in interim charge. It was the disastrous John Barnes season, and Rangers walloped them 4-0, and the Monday morning Johan Mjällby was right out saying, he took the words back to say, I got it all wrong, but he said similar stuff. We're the better team and we play better football, all that kind of stuff. So it's up to Sakala to back up. If not, he might be speaking in the Record Monday morning saying, I hold my hands up, I got it wrong.
See, to be fair to him, his last performance against Celtic was potentially his best performance in the Rangers shirt, wasn't it? It was a kind of difference that day. I know it finished a draw, but mate, it was brilliantly bonkers.
It wasn't a high bar to reach, Fraser.
What's that?
It wasn't a high bar to reach.
True, but I thought he performed very. To be fair, Celtic's left-hand side of the defence were struggling that day, but I still thought Sakala sort of helped turn the game in Rangers' favour for a while.
No,
but look, it's brilliantly bonkers. Football's sanitised beyond belief these days. You hit the nail on the head with your first comment, Gav. We're bored with the cliches and all that. If Sakala wants to come out like the blue touch paper ahead of the biggest game so far this season, bring it on. I really do hope he plays now, and the first few challenges could be interesting. That's what's
I
all about.
wasn't,
Superb.
I wasn't only just joking, Fraser. Fashion Sakala did play well at Celtic Park last May or April, whatever it was. And Georges Giakoumakis came out last February and said Celtic are a better team. Guys just say that all the time. I'm with both of you. What do we want? We don't want people just coming out with the old nonsense. You want to speak your mind, and then let's see if you can back it up.
Absolutely.
Lottery kept doubling down on it. He must have said it three times at least in that interview, just in case we never picked it up the first time.
Craig, I was going to ask you, the other big talking point off the park is obviously Michael Beale's sort of war of words with Chris Sutton. I mean, what do you make of that? And is he picking a fight he doesn't really need to in the lead up to such a big game?
Again, if somebody wants to speak their mind, speak their mind. If somebody's not happy with something that they've heard, why not have a reply to it? I don't have a problem with it, short and sharp.
That's true. Gav, what have you made of it?
The Michael Beale Sutton war of words.
What I will say, Daniel, sorry to stop you, Gav.
No.
I probably didn't answer your question properly there, Daniel. Should he get involved in it? No. That's the one thing he did ask. No, he shouldn't. He's a manager of Rangers. He shouldn't get involved in anything like that, as far as I'm concerned. Pundits speak. That's what they do. I don't see the need for him to get involved in that. He's 9 points behind Celtic. He's got a cup final looming. It's big, I think. And that's not me saying that. That's experienced, well-respected former Rangers players saying that. You've got bigger fish to fry, Michael, than worrying about what's in the paper. The only thing he needs to worry about is in the paper is the scoreline.
Yeah.
Does he look thin-skinned? I mean, that's what I thought. Biting back as he did just makes him look a bit thin-skinned, Swanee, to me.
Yeah, but I can't work this out, Craig, Fraser, Daniel, and we've spoke about it on the Record Rangers podcast. I've asked Andy Newport and Scott McDermott their thoughts about that earlier in the week. I mean, Michael Beale is not daft. Do you think that in getting involved in that he was trying to play some mind games and, maybe get the dressing room on side? Do you think maybe he was hoping that it would have an impact, that players would look at him and see the manager standing up and, looking to take Celtic on? I'm talking about both the Sutton comment and the kind of Ange Postecoglou lucky comment, which also sort of blew up. Do you think it was deliberate?
If you have to take that approach with players in your first team dressing room, they shouldn't be in your first team dressing room.
Yeah, but
if you need to make comments like that and get involved in things like that to motivate a squad at a club like Rangers. Ange Postecoglou said it the other day. Somebody asked him about will there be motivation after losing the semi-final last season to Rangers at Hampden. Ange Postecoglou said, why would they need to have something to motivate them from out? If they're not motivated every day, what's the point?
Yeah,
I should have to get involved in stuff like that to motivate a squad. So if I was a manager and I felt I needed to do that to motivate a group of players, my next move would be to move out the ones who needed motivating.
Yeah, but that you're absolutely right in what you're saying there. I suppose the slight difference is that Ange Postecoglou and Celtic are they're a machine right now. They're dominating Scottish football. They're rivals. They're 9 points ahead of Rangers. He doesn't, at this stage, really have to do something like that. Michael Beale's come in and he's inherited a 9-point gap to Celtic, and he needs to try and close that gap. So clearly, there's a reason that they're 9 points behind, and also that this dressing room, is probably low in confidence. Maybe not as much now as when he took over, but he's got to bridge that gap. So he maybe needs to use something more than what Ange Postecoglou does. There would have been a time when Ange Postecoglou, maybe at the start of his Celtic reign, when things weren't going so well, and there must have been times throughout his managerial career where he's had to use different things. All managers have done it. We've seen it over the years. So
I was just about to use that. I was just about to speak about that, Gavin, just when you brought it up. Ange Postecoglou was in a similar situation as trailing the rivals that Michael Beale was when he came in, and I don't recall Postecoglou getting involved in any stuff like that.
Okay,
you're right to say other managers have done down the years, but I'm just talking about him specifically. I don't recall him getting involved.
Yeah, maybe he has so much faith in his own sort of motivational ability on the training ground and
experience, I would call it.
And experience, yeah, and yeah. So maybe it is. Maybe Michael Beale has been inexperienced and a bit naive to say what he did. But I just wonder, do you think it was deliberate, or do you think he didn't realise the reaction it would have got? And I mean the lucky comment as well as a certain one.
Who knows?
You need to ask Michael.
Do you think he thought it through? Right, okay. Daniel, can you get Michael beyond?
But seriously, I've kind of said what I think, and then to absolutely nail it down, only he can answer that. I mean, right. I'm not really sure. I mean, he made a comment about the fact that Ange Postecoglou was fortunate that he's had money to spend. I'm not sure he quite, maybe it didn't come out the way he intended. I don't know, maybe it did, but to suggest it was some sort of tactical thing to get into the minds of people, I'm not sure that was the case.
Right.
100% would have known the reaction it was going to cause Gav, because he's been in this show before, seen how every word that came out of Steven Gerrard's mouth was hung on for 3 seasons, sorry. So he knew what kind of storm it was going to cause.
Mm-hmm.
I like Swanee, I'm not quite sure it was a motivational thing, because above all else, that Rangers dressing room has got characters that don't need motivated for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Real McGregor, Alfredo Morelos said that they don't need anything like that.
Yeah.
Gav, on this week's Record Celtic podcast,
the
aforementioned Chris Sutton said that he thinks if Rangers don't win, it will create doubts around Michael Beale. Is it fair to say it's slightly more important for him and Rangers?
Oh, definitely, because I mean Celtic are the dominant force right now, so it's up to Rangers to do something about it. I mean, on various podcasts and maybe on this, and we've constantly made the comparison between when Alec McLeish came in and had to try and topple Martin O'Neill, because Martin O'Neill had managed to see off Dick Advocat and they were the dominant ones. Advocat left and McLeish came in and they had 2 cups. So there is a kind of comparison to be made there. Alex McLeish came in, he beat Celtic at Hampden. It was a semi-final, and it laid, he then went on to win the Scottish Cup as well, beating Celtic in the final. It laid down a marker for the following season. So yeah, it's important because if Celtic, there is Celtic are odds-on favourites, aren't they? A lot of people think if they turn up and they play the way they can, that they could win and possibly even win quite comfortably. And if that is the case, then it really knocks Rangers back after all this, because they're high on confidence just now. They have a lot of faith in Michael Beale because of what he's done up to this point. And if Celtic did win and win comfortably, then it leaves them with a lot of thinking to do, and it would, I suppose, create a bit of doubt.
Absolutely. Swanee, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with what Gavin says there. Pretty much the whole way. I think if Celtic turn up and play as they can, they will win comfortably. And if that is the case, it will be a barometer to Michael Beale, what he has to do, how far he has to go in the summer, and changes that he has to make, and things that have to be organised to get Rangers to Celtic's level. I mean, I think at the moment, I don't think anyone would argue if the 2 teams are at their full-flown best, Celtic are a good bit clear of Rangers. That they're also a lot more solid than them too. So it's up to Michael Beale to chip into it. And I think an important thing what trophies do is buy you time. If Michael Beale was to win on Sunday, it buys him a bit of time. The league is not going to be won now by Rangers. Celtic are going to win it. It would take something ridiculous for that not to happen. But it would then buy him a little bit of time to maybe try and experiment with a few things, try a few players, and maybe work on a few systems and get things going. Whereas if they don't win on Sunday and Celtic win the trophy and are beaten in the final, and then they fall 14, 15, 16 points behind in the league, then it gets to the summer and he's under pressure to start the next season already. So I think from that point of view, it's important that it might just buy him some grace, as opposed to he needs to win this trophy or no Rangers fan will believe in him. I don't think that's true, because I don't agree with Chris on that one, because I think he's only been in the job 3 months, and I don't think anybody would have a gun to Michael Beale's head and say, you must win this or you haven't proved yourself. I just think it's the time it may buy him afterwards.
Mm-hmm. And
because again, if you lose this one, if Rangers were to lose this one, then they drop points in the league, then they get Celtic in the semi-final at Hampden in the Scottish Cup, and they lose that one as well. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden in the summer, it's like, well, where are you going with this team, Michael? So that would be the questions the Rangers fans would be asking. So I think from that point of view, it's important for him to win, as opposed to actually proving to everyone he is the real deal as a Rangers manager.
Gav, on this week's Record Rangers podcast, I heard you guys talking about a lot of the injury problems that Rangers have going into this game. I mean, if two or three players are kind of touch and go, who are the important ones that you'd really want to see in the team in the starting 11?
Well, I think the obvious one to mention is Malik Tillman, isn't it? Because he's somebody that can just do that little something different. You know, I mean, Celtic have got so many players, you know, in an attacking sense, have got great qualities going forward. Malik Tillman's someone who, for Rangers, can just make something happen, conjure up a bit of magic, which you need. But I think on the podcast, the guys mentioned, I think it may have been Scott, who said if he could only pick one of those who are doubtful, actually John Lundstrom was the one that he thought, if you remember in last season's semi-final, actually at Hampden, John Lundstrom had one of his best games, if not his best game, in a Rangers jersey. And the Celtic midfield is obviously just they're just so strong in that department with Callum McGregor and Hatate and Moy if he's fit. So I think maybe John Lundstrom could be one that is crucial if they can get him in. Player for the big occasion as well. He just loves that. He loves to go in and do a bit of the dirty work. So I think he would be good. The other thing is that he's been very impressive early in his career, Nicholas Raskin, but he is still young. He's only, I think he might have just been 22 the other day, was he? Certainly young, and as well as he has done, as we all know, it's one thing, you know, playing well against, you know, at home to Partick Thistle or whoever else, and it, as tricky as it is away to Livingston, but you know, Rangers Celtic at Hampden in a semi-final is totally different, and you just don't know how he's going to cope with that. You just don't know. He might, don't get me wrong, he looks like the kind of character who, you know, he's a wee kind of tenacious guy in the middle of the park. He looks the type that wouldn't be fazed by it, but we have seen bigger and more experienced and better players not able to handle this occasion. So I think Lundstrom would be good for the experience.
And Fraser, in Celtic's midfield, Rio Hatate's been playing out of his skin. I mean, they've got Maeda, they've got Kyogo, Moy, but Hatate looks to be on a different level at the minute. He's the man to stop for Rangers, isn't he?
He's probably my pick for player of the season so far, and I don't see why that would change come the end of the year. I don't think it matters what combination Rangers come up with in midfield. I think Celtic are stronger in there for the reason you say. Hatate, I mean, he's found his shooting boots of late as well. He's got everything going for him at the moment. Callum McGregor never drops below a certain level and will pull the strings. Aaron Moy, if fit, as Gav said, has probably found his top form for Celtic right now. And I still think Matt O'Reilly's a cracking player if they choose O'Reilly instead. I think those three, be it Moy or O'Reilly, apparently another two, will have too much for Rangers in the middle. So really, that's the main reason I think Celtic will edge this one. Not saying by much, but I think one in midfield and two, as you say, they just have a wee bit more and more guile and cutting edge up top as well. I'd expect Kyogo to come back in for the start on Sunday, and Maeda just seems to love playing against Rangers. That wee bundle of energy. So, for the reasons you mentioned there, Daniel, I think Celtic will edge it. And
Swanee, if Moy is fit, as I believe he's we think he will be fit, does he start on Sunday for you?
I think he probably does, given his form leading into the game with Aberdeen last week that he missed. And as Fraser says, Matt O'Reilly came in and played very well. I think the great thing that Ange Postecoglou has now is it literally doesn't matter which one of them plays.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. I mean, there will be a slight difference in style, but in terms of output, it's going to be it's going to be almost the same. I would have thought. I mean, one of Matt O'Reilly's great strengths is dead ball delivery, and Alan Moyes came in and started doing that as well since he started playing. So I almost think it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, and that's a tremendous position for Celtic to be in. And also there was a school of thought, whether you guys agree or not, but in the sort of final 25 minutes of the game at Hampden in the semi-final last year, and through extra time that Rangers were possibly slightly stronger. Physically, they seem to come onto the game a little bit more. That was at a time when Rio Hatate was struggling to get past the hour in games without blowing up. That boy is now the full package. 90 minutes, no problem, up and down. That left Callum McGregor with double the work to do that day. He'll be able to play his normal game. Whatever one of Moy and O'Reilly starts, the other one's going to come on for the last half hour. He's also going to come on with Haksabanovic and Lee Elabada. I just think Celtic has so many weapons to go through the final third of the game. No matter, Celtic would have to be seriously out of the game for me still not to think they wouldn't turn it around in the last 20, 25, 30 minutes, even if they were behind. Yeah. I just think there's so much weaponry to bring from the bench. So many good players.
I think that is the difference, Craig, and that's where you're right, is that, you know, Michael Beale could probably put a team out now, or he can put a team out that, you know, can definitely compete with Celtic. That's the difference. Celtic, there's no doubt they have a stronger squad. But I think even in that department, Rangers have improved slightly. I think the signings of Raskin and Todd Cantwell in January, it makes a difference, because Cantwell, if we assume he probably wouldn't start the game, I don't think he will. I mean, he might. But even to have somebody like him to come off the bench, I mean, that's a big difference for Rangers, just to be able to turn to somebody like him. So, but as Craig said, that this is what Celtic have had for so long. You know, it doesn't matter who it is; they can bring them on 20 minutes to go, and just, you know, you don't notice the difference. Rangers haven't really had that. They've still not got it to that extent, but it's a bit better. And obviously, they've had players coming back from injury, like Sahaji, that's come back last month or so, although you still need to get up to speed fitness-wise. And I think up front will be really intriguing for Rangers. Well, I say intriguing. I think Morelos should start. I think he probably will start, but Michael Beale just loves Roof, and there is a kind of argument.
I wondered about that, Gav. I wondered, would he be tempted to take Morelos out and throw Roof in?
Well, he does.
I mean, a wee kind of blindsider.
Well, the way he talks about him, but I suppose the other thing about Roof is we don't know exactly how fit he is. And we were talking about a stat recently saying that Morelos, when he started against Celtic, he hasn't lost since the last League Cup final between the two, away back in 2019. Wow. So I don't know how much you read into your stats, but
zero.
There we go. But you do think that Morelos, if he's on it, and that is a big question, but if he is on his game, he could cause real problems for the Celtic central defence. If he's on it and he's right up for the game, the way we know he can be, you know, and I don't think Roof could do that the same.
Mm-hmm. But
Roof could save Michael Beale a problem and take the heat off Sakala and just start in place of Sakala out wide and you play with them both.
Well,
and then Sakala doesn't have to worry about having a point to prove.
That look, mate, sounded almost as if we were writing off Rangers' chances. Not a chance. It's a derby on a neutral ground, and we know anything can happen in these games. Mm-hmm. Rangers aren't that far behind that I would say they've not got a chance. I think anything could happen on Sunday, genuinely.
Absolutely. I don't think
push came to shove, I would go for Celtic. But no, Rangers have a right good chance of winning the Cup on Sunday, I would say. They've got a bit of magic now off the bench, as you said, with the likes of Cantwell there. If everyone turns up on Sunday, nothing to say they can't win that Cup.
Yeah, and they do look more. They look as if they've got a solid central defensive pairing with Ben Davies and Connor Goldson.
They've got momentum as well. Games unbeaten, I think they've got momentum. I know Celtic's is 25 games or something, but they've got momentum.
Absolutely. I mean, at the start of the season, they were chopping and changing. You know, Ben Davies wasn't fit, and you know, they were slotting in James Sands there. There's a solid look at the back now. The goalkeeper situation looks to be sorted. He's settled on that 5 there. So no, I don't think anybody's writing Rangers off. Absolutely not.
No.
And I think, to be honest, I mentioned those games before. You know, when Alec McLeish came in and those 2 matches, it was, you know, an extra time win for Rangers, and then it was a 3-2 Scottish Cup final win. I mean, they were just such close games, but it was Rangers showing Celtic, look, we can compete with you, as they did in the derby at New Year there. So I think no matter what happens, I know we said, look, Celtic, if they perform in the way they can, you know, there is a chance that they could win comfortably. I know we're saying, but I think whatever happens, it's going to be a real tight contest.
I think the derby at January was the perfect example, Gavin, of what you've just said there. For the first 20 minutes, Celtic turned up and played properly. They were a goal in front and were completely in control of the game. Greg Taylor got injured, and despite the fact he's on the team sheet as a left back, Greg Taylor's influence from middle to front and in keeping the ball is absolutely huge. The amount of goals he scores helps him keep the ball. How the rotations of the team work. I know I've gone all XG there, but the way he plays the possession and he does it properly, it helps the midfield get on it the way they should. Juranovic came on the opposite side, looked as though he was still drunk for the World Cup, and then Joe Hart made a slip, and Celtic completely fell out of the game. And that's when Rangers came into the game, and it became like a 55%, maybe a 60-40 in Rangers' favoured game. That was with Celtic not playing at all. And the one thing I think that Celtic haven't done since Ange Postecoglou has been here, if you look back through all the semi-finals and all the finals, they haven't really performed at Hampden. They beat St Johnstone in a semi-final, it was sticky, they never played. They really got going against Hibs in that final. There's a lot of nerves about. Kyogo built it. They didn't play well in the semi-final against Rangers. They weren't great against Kelly. I think they might be due a performance at Hampden. And I think it might be Sunday. They're coming into it at just the right time.
Yeah, that's true.
They haven't played Ange Postecoglou style football at the pace they play at Hampden yet. When Brendan Rodgers and his team were able to do that, they managed to transfer what they were doing domestically onto big cup finals and really blow teams away. Celtic, for all they've won games there, haven't done it. I think they might do it on Sunday. They look as well on the form to do it on Sunday.
That's true. And you would think that the big pitch, it would suit them as well. You'd think if there was ever a place that the Ange Postecoglou Celtic side would shine, it would be there. It would be there. But right.
I think it might be Sunday.
When you listen,
am I not right in saying Parkhead's bigger than Hampden? No. There's an awful lot made of Hampden's wide spaces and that, but Parkhead's bigger.
I know, we just say that, don't we? Always just say
it's the cliche. Like
Fraser, don't let the facts get in the way.
Sorry, take that bit out.
It feels wider because some architect in charge of building the stadium decided to build the stands about 3 miles from behind the goal. Let's build open spaces.
Could be twice.
Big Hampden pitch. That's what we just say. Big Hampden.
It's still big.
You're right.
Thanks, Gavin the gardener.
Guys, the perfect way for us to round this up. I know you all have been put in the spot.
Oh, no.
Gav, I'll maybe start with yourself. What's your prediction?
They'll come at me last. Okay, I'm going to say very tight, extra time, just so that Craig has to work a bit longer on Sunday. I'm going to say extra time.
Doesn't matter what happens, Gavin. You guys will find something else for me to do, so no matter. I'll be there at 9 o'clock anyway, come what may.
That reminds us, Daniel, can you set up a Facebook Live? No.
Behind the burger van in the rain at Hampden, cheers on 20 to 9, that'll cover it.
Right, I'm going to go for extra time. Rangers to win by the odd goal in 5.
Ooh, interesting. Craig, what's your thoughts? What's your prediction?
I think Celtic will play really well and win 3-1 comfortably.
And Fraser, what's your thoughts?
Well, we've had to put them in the paper tomorrow, so buy your Daily Record in the morning to see my one paragraph. 2-1 Celtic.
The company man, as always. Nice work, Fraser. Guys, I think that brings us.
Hang on, Daniel, and you?
I tend to agree with Craig. I think Celtic will have just too much. I think 2 or 3-1 on the day.
That's putting you in the spot, Daniel. They don't do that with Mark Chapman in 606. That's poor. The host isn't supposed to.
Guys, I think that brings us to the end of today's Record Sport Facebook Live. I should say for everyone watching, you can follow the discussion on Twitter at record_sport and on Instagram at dailyrecord_sport. Craig, Gav, Fraser, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
And thanks
for a good weekend.